Hi, everyone. I'm Taylor Combusier, a mining analyst at Red Cloud Securities. This session of our Oktoberfest Fall Mining Showcase will feature New Plasterdome Gold Corp. New Plasterdome is a gold explorer with several assets in Nevada, including the Kinsley Mountain project that features an indicated and inferred resource of about 535,000 ounces of gold. From the company, we have with us Max Sali, the CEO, founder, and director, as well as Kris Raffle, who's a director and the qualified person. I'll note that if attendees have any questions throughout the presentation, to just type them in and we'll get to them during the Q&A session. The presentation is also available on the conference website. And with that, I'll turn it right over to Max and Kris to walk you through the story.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to listen to our story. For those that have heard our story, thanks for taking the time for an update. The photo in the background here is extremely important to us. One, you can see the previously producing pit. That pit produced 140,000 ounces of gold through an ROM heap leach between 95 and 1999, about 1.4 grams oxide average. What we're currently doing, and work has been going on right now, is we're shooting some geophysics over the front and back of this mountain. That's never been done before. Nothing's really been tested on this part of the property in terms of drilling. There's been some soil sampling and such. So what we're doing is we're running 80 kilometers of lines over this whole mountain. And the purpose of doing the geophysics this year, we did a bit last year, but a much bigger program this year, is to generate targets, generate new targets for testing, and essentially finding more of these high-grade deposits that we currently have on the property that make up the bulk of our resource. There's about 91 million shares outstanding, fully diluted at the moment. The stock is trading at a low. Difficult to say. It's been a tough space for the gold market in general. We have a market cap of 7 million. And to put this into perspective, the asset that was just on the front page that we'll talk more about, when the Western Flank Zone or the resource that they have was discovered in 2012, the asset had a market cap of $250 million at its peak. So well off that, decent range here, and shareholder base, myself, my family, about 12%, institutions 10%, close associates 10%, so fairly well held. Liberty Gold is 9.9%, but Liberty Gold, following this financing that we have announced, will own about 18%. Included in that financing, insiders from Liberty Gold will be participating, including Cal Everett, the CEO. I founded this company in 2018 with my best friend, who's Brad Telfer, Ian Telfer's son from Gold Corp. Prior to that, I founded a company called Advantage Lithium, which we sold to a producer at the low for about $70 million. I also founded Defense Metals. Kris Raffle was on, is also our geo. And that rare earth company is currently in a PEA stage. So that is now one of the most advanced rare earth companies on the market as a junior. Kris, why don't you give your background to everyone?
Sure. Yeah, Max, as you know, yeah, a 20-year exploration geo. I'm a principal geologist at a consulting company called Apex Geoscience. We're Edmonton-based. We work all over the world, Australia, North America. And yeah, so our experience in Nevada, and let's just say the last 10 years, we have a number of different clients and projects we worked on in Nevada. So most notably, Gold Standard Ventures. We've done a number of their resources in-house for Pinion, Dark Star, multiple iterations of those. So our Nevada experience, we're active down there most, if not all year round, at a number of different mine sites as well. So that's kind of one of our main backgrounds and areas that we're working these days.
Our advisory board, when we announced the transaction for the Kinsley Mountain Gold Project from Liberty Gold, Cal Everett, their CEO, came on as an advisor. Jim Gregg is the president of Benchmark Metals. They just came out with a 2 million ounce resource in British Columbia. More strategic to Nevada, Mac Jackson is pretty much solely Nevada based. He is the former VPX of Gold Standard Ventures and a former geo from Newmont. Alan Hitchborn is a former senior geologist for the original Plasterdome and actually worked at the Bald Mountain mine which is on trend with Kinsley. Both of these gentlemen have independent reports on Kinsley, which we can send to anyone, but quite bullish on the project itself. So we are Nevada focused. When we listed a few years ago, we had a bit of a variety of assets in the United States, but now we're strictly in Nevada, starting with our flagship Kinsley Mountain asset. It is a bigger asset. It is a past producer and it has a resource. It came with this resource. We updated it as it was a fundamental acquisition, and we drilled about 20,000 meters on this property in 2020. Of that, only about 20% of Kinsley has been explored to date. It is located 90 kilometers away from the producing Long Canyon mine, which is the most profitable mine in the Barrick-Newmont JV. BOLO is also a Carlin asset, early stage. Not on the Carlin trend. It's about 90 kilometers northeast of Tonopah, accessible by road, very accessible. I can get there all year round with a rear-wheel drive. It is also an oxide play. Everything to date is oxide, and we hope to do a maiden resource this spring on the project. Troy Canyon is a past producer that we own 100% of. It's an asset that we acquired finally in September of 2019, and it's been an asset that has shown to have a lot of upside in terms of what we paid for it versus what we've had offered to us for someone to come in and work on this project. As our focus is Kinsley, for us, it would be easier to bring someone in to help work on the project because, again, Kinsley and BOLO were the main focuses of our company. As I said, Kinsley is a past producer. One of the reasons why we also acquired this asset is because most sulfide deposits in Nevada tend to be refractory. Kinsley is, I guess, in terms of the best case, the best kind of refractory. Because the grade is so high, it floats a really high grade concentrate. And that's really the big difference between refractory and non-refractory sulfates is the concentrate it floats. And because of this, we're able to do an on-site concentrate plant. And because of economies of scale, it's cheaper for us to do that and ship that concentrate to a local facility. There's a number of facilities in the area, specifically like a Long Canyon, like a Jarrett Canyon, like a Bald Mountain that could take this concentrate. And I'll let Kris get into the next few slides here discussing Kinsley in depth.
Yeah, so yeah, just here's our current resource. As we say, if you want to combine indicated and inferred, about 535,000 ounces. The big anchor here at Kinsley is this high grade Secret Canyon sulfide, 300,000 ounces at 6 grams, and the remainder of that resource split evenly between near surface oxide, a little less than 100,000 ounces of oxide, and a bit of transitional material in our Dunderberg shale. Our main ore hosts, mineralization hosts of Kinsley are our shale units, our Dunderberg shale, our Secret Canyon shale below that. And here's a bit of a long east-west sectional view showing our oxide and transitional and the deep Secret Canyon on the left-hand side. So one of the main targets this year of our geophysics, last year we demonstrated that we can image western flank sulfide mineralization using chargeability. It has a very subtle chargeability anomaly. We did some electrical property measurements on drill core and small kind of orientation IP surveys or some of those targets. And we could see that mineralization. So that's kind of propelled us to do an expanded IP program this year over the entire resource area and to the underexplored area to the north of the property. There's another bit of a section just showing our drill grades and you can see there's our purple and the blue unit, our Dunderberg and Secret Canyon shale hosts. So what we have a very well-developed geological model that we inherited from Liberty and continue to develop with, we said, the 20,000 meters of drilling that were very successful last year. And I guess, I don't know, if it's the next slide here, Max, you could probably
jump on this one.
Yeah, I think, here's just kind of a bit of an overview. So, this is a bit of a busy slide, but as you can see, this is our greater resource area. So we've got northwest trending structures that host the majority of the past producing and the western flank mineralization. And we have a parallel fault to the south called the transverse fault, which hosts our secret spot and shale saddle targets, which are we believe are analogous geologically to the western flank and previous producing areas. Drilling last year focused on western flank, an area called main pit oxide, which is, as you can imagine, close to the main pit, and secret spot. So we made discoveries at main pit oxide and secret spot, a brand new secret spot at the bottom here. I'll go opposite direction here, but 1.77 grams over 25 meters of oxide at surface. This is a new discovery, was obviously previously unknown, undrilled, untested, and just demonstrates some of the potential of this property. These kinds of grades are readily upon readily go into a resource estimate, and we'll run pits at these kind of grades. So we're definitely interested in expanding this zone. Some shallow drilling obviously would be sufficient to build this zone out, and above it 9.83 grams over 7.6 meters in our main pit oxide. So again, this is just demonstrating the amount of sort of low-hanging fruit that remains on this project. We're just outside of the historic past producing pit. This intersection is sub 150 meters vertical below surface, and as it says here, 75 meters out of our existing pit shell. So these kinds of at these kinds of grades, and this is oxide, this is not sulfide mineralization. It just shows you we have some significant potential to build ounces with these kinds of grades very near surface. And our western flank drilling was very successful. Part of our drilling last year was to show that western flank had the potential to build out a bit more. We talk about this 300,000 ounces at 6 grams, but we want it to get a little, we want to show that to the north and to the east, we can build this out. We're very successful putting some significant intercepts there, 24 grams over 5 meters. Quick shot of the IP from last year. This is what really launched into this year's plans this year. So basically we're infilling right now. Currently we're on our 6th line, infilling between these two grids. We're progressing from the target on the right, shale saddle, across the main pit oxide targets, filling in this entire area. And we're very excited with what we're seeing right now. And following completion of the IP, we're going to be prioritizing drill targets, integrating all of our existing drilling. The area between here really has seen no significant drilling of our deeper shale intercepts. It's all been historic shallow blast holes, looking at some of the oxide. So
we had a press release last week that had the results of the first 2 lines that were shot. They look similar to these, and so we're starting to show that this continues left to right, and that what we'll do is generate targets for us. So the plan for this is once that is all complete, we'll have an updated image showing everything here, and then figure out if we can, where we would go for more targets. We obviously have a drill campaign that is ready to go on the main pit north oxide currently here in the middle. But what we'd like to go and see if we can find more of these western flank zones. So these high grade 300,000 ounce, fists of gold, if you wish to call it, more in the middle here, and adding more of those like a string of pearls. That's where you're going to see your ounces very quickly and globally add on the project. So BOLO is the second asset we had. BOLO was originally our flagship asset before we acquired Kinsley. It is a Carlin type asset, very accessible from Tonopah. The closest mine to this producing mine is Round Mountain, which has produced about 10 million ounces of gold to date. Land package is smaller than Kinsley, but again, easily accessible. And there's actually some silver grades on this property. One thing about all our projects is they all are past producers. So if we look here at the photo in the background, this is a past producing silver pit. We don't have the numbers. It was circa 1900, but the state of Nevada recognizes it as a past producing mine. In 2019, we drilled this. Originally, it hadn't been drilled for many, many years, and we hit top 2% of all drill holes in Nevada by any public mid-tier, junior, or major company. And so what you're seeing here is from surface, you're seeing 100 plus meters of multiple holes at over a gram oxide. We had a new discovery at depth of 12.2 meters of 3.32 grams oxide. And from surface, we had almost 5 grams oxide over almost 14 meters. And one thing to put into perspective is for every 100 meters of over a gram, that adds roughly about 20,000 ounces to a resource. So you can see how those add up very quickly and being very economical grades. Kris, do you want to discuss the next few?
We are actually right out of time, so we're going to have to end the presentation there for today. But thanks very much, Max.